The first sign of collapse came exactly 72 hours after humanity's departure from the Galactic Council. Prime Coordinator Nexus of the Crystalline Dominion stood before the emergency session, her normally perfect geometric form flickering with stress patterns, as she delivered the report that would shatter their carefully constructed civilization. "The Terran communication network has gone silent," she announced, her voice resonating through the chamber like breaking glass. "All human-operated relay stations across 17 sectors have ceased function simultaneously." The assembled delegates exchanged worried glances. The TCES network had been humanity's contribution to galactic infrastructure, a gift they had offered freely when joining the Council 5 years ago. It had revolutionized interstellar communication, reducing message transmission time from months to mere hours across vast distances. Ambassador Krell of the Draconian Empire, his massive scaled form coiled around his delegation platform, raised his serpentine head. Surely their automated systems continue to function. The humans were thorough in their engineering. "That's the concerning part," Nexus replied, her crystalline structure dimming with uncertainty. "The systems didn't break down, they were deliberately shut down. Every single relay station transmitted a final message: 'Thank you for the opportunity to serve. The network is hereby returned to galactic sovereignty. Good luck.'" High Counselor Vorthak, the ancient energy being who had presided over galactic affairs for 3 millennia, pulsed with irritation. This is clearly an act of spite. The humans show their true nature petty and vindictive when denied their way. But even as he spoke, the reports continued streaming in. The disruption was far more extensive than anyone had initially realized. The Galactic Trade Consortium sent word that 30% of all interstellar commerce had ground to a halt. It seemed that humans hadn't just operated communication relays, they had somehow become integral to shipping routes, cargo handling, and trade negotiations across the galaxy. Director Zilf of the Commerce Guild, a multi-tentacled being whose species had evolved for mathematical precision, presented the economic data with trembling appendages. The humans represented only 0.3% of the galactic population, she reported, but they somehow facilitated 34% of all trade transactions. They served as translators, mediators, and neutral arbitrators in over 7,000 active trade disputes. "How is that possible?" demanded Councillor Thys, her serpentine form coiling with anxiety. "We have our own diplomatic corps, our own trade specialists." The humans had a unique approach, Zilf explained, consulting her data tablets. They seemed to inherently understand the subtle cultural nuances that often made negotiations between our species difficult. They could speak to the Crystalline Dominion's love of precision while simultaneously appealing to the Draconian Empire's sense of honor and the Aquatic Federation's fluid decision-making process. The situation deteriorated rapidly over the following days. The Vegan Republic reported that their quantum computational networks, which they had proudly developed independently, were experiencing catastrophic failures. Upon investigation, they discovered that humans had been quietly maintaining and upgrading their systems for years, working as consultants and technical advisors. Without human intuition to guide the repairs, their most advanced technologies were becoming increasingly unstable. Captain Zorex of the Galactic Defense Force delivered perhaps the most shocking revelation during the emergency session's third day. His rigid militaristic bearing seemed shaken as he addressed the Council. "We have discovered that humans were embedded throughout our defense networks at every level," he reported, his mechanical voice carrying an unusual tremor. "Not as spies or infiltrators, but as essential personnel. They served as communications specialists, strategic advisors, logistics coordinators, and cultural liaisons between species-specific military units." He activated a holographic display showing the galaxy's defense grid. Our military effectiveness has dropped by 67% in just 4 days. Fleet coordination between different species has become nearly impossible without human translators who understood both technical specifications and cultural communication styles. The chaos wasn't limited to major systems. Smaller colonies reported that human doctors, teachers, engineers, and farmers had disappeared overnight. Entire agricultural operations that had thrived under human management were failing as local populations discovered they had become dependent on human expertise they hadn't even realized they were receiving. Dr. Viridian of the Scientific Collective, a gaseous entity contained within a specialized atmospheric suit, floated to the center of the chamber. "We have completed our analysis of human activities over the past 5 years," she announced, her voice emanating from her suit speakers. "The results are disturbing." The data she presented painted a picture that none of the council members had expected. Humans hadn't just been members of the galactic community, they had been its unseen foundation. While other species had focused on their areas of expertise and cultural strengths, humans had quietly filled every gap, bridged every divide, and solved every problem that fell between the cracks of galactic civilization. They were what systems theorists call connective tissue, Dr. Viridian explained. Each individual species has remarkable capabilities within their specializations, but we lack the generalist adaptability that humans possessed. They could communicate with anyone, learn anything, and adapt to any situation. Without them, our highly specialized civilization is discovering that it cannot function as a cohesive whole. The most devastating revelation came from an unexpected source, the Council's own archives. Junior archivist Pip, a small furry creature from a recently uplifted species, had been reviewing historical records and made a discovery that sent shockwaves through the assembly. "Honored councillors," Pip squeaked nervously, "I have found records of 17 previous species that were expelled from the Council over the past millennium. In each case, galactic civilization experienced severe disruptions immediately following their departure." The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. "Are you suggesting," High Councillor Vorthark asked slowly, "that we have made this mistake before?" Pip nodded rapidly. "The architects were expelled 847 years ago for excessive infrastructure development. The mediators were banished 623 years ago for interference in interspecies disputes. The cultivators were exiled 401 years ago for agricultural imperialism. In each case, the Council voted to remove a species that had become indispensable." Prime Coordinator Nexus flickered with realization. "And in each case, we eventually forgot their contributions and convinced ourselves that their expulsion had been justified." The pattern was clear now. Galactic civilization was too complex for any single species to understand completely, but it required certain species generalists, connectors, problem solvers, to hold it together. When these species grew too influential, the specialists became threatened and voted them out. The resulting chaos would eventually stabilize into a new configuration, but at enormous cost. "Where did they go?" asked Ambassador Krell quietly. "The previous expelled species, where are they now?" Dr. Viridian consulted her records. "Unknown. They seem to have departed the galaxy entirely, just as the humans have done." A new message crystal materialized in the center of the chamber, bearing the seal of humanity. Dr. Elena Vasquez's image appeared one final time, but now she was wearing a simple civilian outfit rather than her diplomatic robes. "Esteemed former colleagues," she said with a sad smile, "if you are receiving this message, then the disruptions have begun. Please understand that we did not engineer these dependencies deliberately. We simply saw needs and filled them, as is our nature." Her image paused, looking directly at the camera, with an expression of genuine compassion. "You will adapt, as you always have." Other species will step forward to fill the roles we occupied, though it may take time and cause significant hardship. We hold no resentment. This cycle has repeated throughout galactic history, and we have learned to accept our role as temporary stabilizers rather than permanent members. The message shifted, and the background changed to show a vast fleet of human vessels moving through intergalactic space. We go now to join our predecessors in the void between galaxies. Perhaps one day, when your civilization again grows complex enough to require generalist species, you will invite us back. Until then, we wish you peace and prosperity. As the message ended, the council chamber erupted in chaos. Some delegates demanded immediate pursuit of the human fleet, while others argued for emergency measures to replace human functions. Still others called for a complete restructuring of galactic government to prevent future mistakes. But High Counselor Vorthok, ancient and weary, simply pulsed with resigned understanding. He had presided over this same crisis twice before in his long existence, though he had forgotten until now. The cycle would continue: specialists and generalists, integration and fragmentation, growth and collapse. Humanity had walked away quietly, and in their absence, the Galactic Council learned once again the terrible cost of expelling those who held their world together. The chaos had only just begun.